Hi. Ah, did it?
She's Sarah D.
I'm Sarah D. And this is Dr. D.
I'm Dr. D.
We
Yes.
can do this.
Yes, we can do this.
We haven't done this for a while. The thing that we're going to talk about today and share with you is something that is misunderstood by many. And if it's misunderstood by you, you could learn something and maybe you'll get upset. I'm going to read you
I
something.
am a troll.
Well, economics is the study of what this guy's talking about.
Yes.
So one of his connections wrote this. Imagine it's 80,000 BCE. And to people like me, that's BC. Okay. You are, you are immortal. The world is still frozen in an ice age. You decide to save $10,000 every day, never spending a cent. 82,021 years later, it's 2021. You still don't have as much money as Elon Musk. Tax the effing billionaires. So, that reminds me of,
What?
the study that they did at the colleges.
Yes, there was a study done at the colleges. Yes.
Yeah, isn't it just like that?
By a libertarian group.
By a libertarian group.
Yes.
You explain it.
Well, so they went around and they talked to college students and they said, well, should we take money from those that have a lot of money and give it to you who have very little? And they said, absolutely,
So
of
should
course.
we tax the millionaires?
Billionaires. Should we tax the effing billionaires?
Yeah.
Yes. And the answer was absolutely
Yes.
you should. Absolutely
Give me some.
you should.
Give me some.
And so they went around and asked the same group of college students, well, some of you get A's and some of you get D's. Should we take your grade down from an A to a C so that we can bring those poor students with D's up to C's?
Right?
And same concept.
Absolutely the same.
Spread the happiness.
Yeah.
Turns
Be
out
fair.
that turns out that the people that want somebody else's money don't want to give up their grades. So I don't know what.
They said, well, we worked for our grades.
Well, Elon Musk clearly has not.
He's taken all kinds of risks. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, but he doesn't have the money that they're talking about either. So it's confusing, right? There isn't that much money printed up.
We've talked about that.
If we take all the billionaires and we count up all of the money that they are worth, there isn't that much money printed up. So guess what? They can't have that much money.
So that goes with one of our previous posts where we learned that the Federal Reserve has a certain amount of dollars, American dollars, that are allowed to be in the environment, which is kind of are they still?
They're still shredding dollars.
They're still shredding dollars right now. So the amount of dollars that exist are getting less.
Right. Currently, yes. But this fails in so many ways. One, we had a post about what money was. And money does three things. Right? It has to do three things.
Has to store value. Over time.
Which is what the Federal Reserve is concerned about with high inflation. Mm-hmm. It's not storing value well. Mm-hmm. Okay? So it has to store value across time.
And them cutting the money supply helps.
Helps, yes.
Okay.
With persistent inflation.
Right. Okay. And so store value, people have to trust it.
Trust it for
exchange.
For exchange, right. So it has to be the medium that we use for exchange. We use dollars. We use dollars to go to the grocery store and buy candy. We use dollars when we go to the gas station and buy gas. We use dollars when we sell our labor.
We really don't. We use digital.
We use digital through
we use our
credit card. But yes, but still the concept is there.
But then we pay with the dollars.
Right. So but the concept's still there, right? So we use it for exchange. I use right. So, and what was the third one?
It has to be like not something about inflation.
No. It's a unit of account, how we measure things, right? So it's a measuring stick.
Right.
And this is the main failure that this thing has, is that it mistakes things that are measured with things that are. Right? So I've got a 25-foot measuring tape, but I'm not 25 feet tall.
So that's like saying he's got so many $1 billion, but he doesn't have or value of what?
Yeah.
Well,
So let's get right
you
to
have to break the measuring tape in pieces. I guess.
let's get right down.
Thank you.
To the problem that we're facing here. So they claim that you're going to save $10,000 every day for 82,000 years. And so the question is, what is that $10,000 that you're talking about?
I don't know. And besides that, if they would put it in the stock market,
right. That's another problem, right? So that's a whole different problem, right?
That's really messed up.
Right. So where did that $10,000 come from? Where do we think of that $10,000 coming from? Where do I get $10,000?
Well, it didn't exist in the Ice Age, so I guess it's
yeah.
possible.
But where
you're not immortal either, so.
But none of that's relevant to the argument here.
I'm not trying
Where do I get $10,000 from?
You mean actual dollars?
Yeah.
You don't.
But I do.
You. Pardon me?
Yeah, and they get deposited in my bank account.
Well.
So where do they come from?
It comes from a check.
So what have I done?
You've stored up.
No, I haven't stored up. What have I done? How did I get that? How did I get that money? How did I get those dollars? What did I have to do to get them?
Oh, you traded your time and your services.
I sold something.
You did.
I sold something.
You sold your service in the marketplace.
I sold my service in the marketplace, and I was given value. I was given income for it.
Yes.
Right? So here's one concept, income, this flow concept. Right? So one concept we have is income.
Should I write that down?
You can write income down.
Keep going.
Income is a flow of value. This is what is generally taxed.
Okay.
Right? This is generally what is taxed. Except in one rare case where we actually tax something other than income. But for the most part, this is a flow of value.
There's an E off there.
So there's a flow of value, and it's measured as income. That's what it is. Right?
Yeah.
So let's talk about my 401k.
Okay.
So what's my 401k worth?
An amount of money.
Can I spend it? Is it income?
Can you spend your 401k?
Yeah, can I?
No.
No, because it's not really money. It's just measured in money. So wealth.
401k as well.
Yeah. Is just measured in money.
Keep going.
It's not money. Is your car money?
No, it is not.
But it could be sold for money.
Gotta write smaller.
Right? It could be sold for money and turned into income, a flow of value.
That's right.
Right? So you could sell your car. Okay? So now the question is, how do I tax a car?
You cannot tax a car. You can only tax people.
And what are you really taxing when you tax people? Can I tax wealth?
Well, they do some capital gains tax, but that's income.
Yeah.
So it's once you
sold it,
then you're taxed on the money, but you're not taxed on the property.
Right.
So
where's the one exception?
We pay property tax.
Okay, property tax is the one exception where we actually pay tax on wealth.
Okay.
But do we really pay tax on wealth? Do I sell part of my house to pay my tax?
Oh man, I'm good at this. No.
What do I do?
What are you doing? Property tax. What do you do?
Yeah, what do I do? Where does the money come from that pays the property tax?
That's paid by people.
But good. So how is ours paid?
I don't like this chalkboard either. Man, chalkboards don't work anymore. Keep going.
Okay, so
Maybe it's
how do we pay our property taxes?
Is that chalk? How do we pay them?
Yeah.
With money.
Where does it come from?
It comes from income.
So the only thing that's really taxed is income, right? I don't sell my house and give part of it to the government for property taxes. I hold on to it and I pay out of my income, right? That's what I do. It's an income tax.
Yeah.
Right? So if I look at, so now let's talk about if I took $10,000 every day and stored it in a box, which is what this person is talking about.
Oh, he's not talking about any kind of...
No. So if I took $10,000 a day and stored it in a box for 82,000 years, I would not have, the hundreds of billions of dollars stored in a box. Mm-hmm. But there's a couple problems with it. There aren't that many dollars.
Right.
So I couldn't store them in a box.
No, you couldn't.
Because they don't exist.
That's right. And so Elon Musk does not have that money either, and neither does whoever.
Neither does Bill Gates
name your billionaire that you want to hate today because you want his grades.
Yeah. No, you can't.
And the thing is, the reason they've got those grades or that money is because of the service they're providing. Period.
So what did Elon Musk do? What did Elon Musk do?
I don't understand. What did he do?
Yes.
He's got all kinds of ideas that he's got investors.
So he and a few other people took their income.
Yes.
They took their income and they chose not to consume it.
I know. And
what did they do?
They lived in little areas, like in their car.
And they built factories with that money that they didn't consume. They didn't buy Snickers bars.
They could have bought the cool shoes.
They didn't buy the cool shoes. They didn't buy Snickers bars. They didn't buy hamburgers at In-N-Out Burger. They didn't, none of that. They didn't do any of that. What did they do? They bought a factory.
Yep.
And now they own this factory, and that factory produces cars and spaceships.
And that factory is property.
That is property. Or capital is what we call it.
Capital. Okay.
We call it capital.
Okay.
Okay. And we call it physical capital in particular.
Okay.
So what this person is suggesting is I look at the value of everybody's 401k. I look at the value of everyone's savings. I look at the value of and I force them to sell a piece of their savings to pay taxes on it. Whether I've saved it as a factory, because I'm actually producing something, whether I've saved it in a stock or a bond fund because I'm helping somebody actually do something with the money, or whether I just stack it up as dollar bills under my mattress. All of these things are what we're talking about. And what I need to do now is, because I didn't consume, because I didn't have a Snickers bar, because I didn't buy the fancy shoes.
Because you made the sacrifice.
Because I made the sacrifice. Because I made the sacrifice, I need to be punished. That's what this is talking about. I need to be punished. So there's another form of capital.
Yes.
It's called human capital.
Okay.
And let's think of it basically as your fundamental capabilities to engage in work.
Okay.
Right? So I get paid more than some people. Why?
Because you made the sacrifice to get a PhD so that you could
So
have the value you wanted to have.
didn't consume all of my money all of my income on Snickers bars.
Nope.
And I didn't buy the fancy shoes.
Nope.
And I didn't go to In-N-Out Burger.
Just so you know, 70 cents a month, maybe, we could spend on 35-cent yogurt push-ups for each of us. And that was our date for a long time.
Developed human capital.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we made
so
the
now let's say, just like we want to tax Elon Musk's capital, let's say that we want to tax my capital.
It's a pound of flesh thing, huh?
It's a pound of flesh thing. That's exactly what it is. So I have to sacrifice. So let's just the government looks at everybody at the beginning, and I do an IQ test when you're in 5th grade. And I do the emotional quotient test when you're in 5th grade. And I do a social ability test when you're in social IQ test when you're in, and I measure up your human capital. What's your ability to perform in the marketplace? Let's just pretend like those are the things that measure. I measure it up and I say, you have a lot of human capital. If you have a lot of human capital, I'm going to tax you more of it. Maybe I'll give some of it. Well, I can't.
No, you can't.
Well, and that's the problem with Elon Musk too. Can I give part of his factory to somebody else?
Well, I'm sure they would be happy to have stock.
But
no. It's not his stock because other people have.
Exactly.
And besides,
I can't give you part of his factory. He can't give you part of his factory. He just can't. It's not physically possible. Oh, here's a key from my piano. Now I've got a 87 key piano.
Right.
But right? The whole concept is, I like to use the word stupid, but it's just ignorant.
Yeah.
It's just ignorant.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
not understanding.
So let's say that I owe 10% of my human capital every year. It's just not a high tax, 10% of... At the end of 10 years, what happens?
Well, if you're at 100%, I mean, if you start out at 100% human capital and 10% for 10 years, isn't 10 times 10 still 100?
Yeah, so it becomes 100%.
So you would be nobody.
So 100% of my human capital would now be owned by the government. We have a special name for that. When the government owns all of your human capital. All right, it's not a nice name. We call it slavery. We call all sorts of things. So this is just a form of slavery that's wrapped up in some kind of, I feel unfortunate in some way because I want to eat Snickers bars.
And I'm not going to make the sacrifice to do it.
And I want to play Nintendo.
Yeah.
Or whatever the new thing is. Like, I'm old. Right? Back in the day, it was foosball, so
yeah,
and pinball, right? So when I was wasting my life away, it was foosball and pinball. Now it's electronic versions of something very similar. But the deal is that I can't. For Elon Musk to pay a capital tax, he has to sell it to somebody. He has to sell some of his company to somebody else to pay that tax. But then somebody else has it. Nobody has gained it. Might as well just tax income. Everybody needs their income taxed. You need your income taxed more, maybe. Right? So there are lots of people who don't pay much in income tax. And there are some that pay a lot of income tax. Elon Musk happens to be one of the ones that pays a lot of income tax. I mean, I wouldn't want to pay his tax bill because my income isn't high enough to cover his tax bill. Right? So that's the problem with this whole idea. One, when you talk about Elon's money, you're talking about his wealth. Wealth is just measured in money. It's not money.
Right.
If you want to talk about his income, that's a whole different story. And his income is taxed. Mm-hmm. And his income is taxed at a higher rate than mine is.
Right. There was something I wanted to say and I lost it.
Sorry.
Oh, it's me too. I'm sorry too. So the thing is, if we did the wealth thing, even if you could, okay, so say you take all of his wealth.
So let's not
say you take all of his money.
Okay.
Say you take all of his money and you give everybody, say between all
whatever
the
government wants to do with it.
Yeah, whatever the billionaires there are in the world, they just give it to everybody. They give it to you. They give it to this guy. Not just this guy, because that wouldn't be just either. Anyway, then they would have no factory. They would have no way to produce. They wouldn't have any income, and then that income would be spent, and then there'd be nothing.
So when we talked about taxing away human capital, we called it slavery. There's a real interesting way we talk about it when the government taxes away and now owns the physical capital means of production. We call it communism. Yeah, and it worked really well no, it didn't. The Soviet states didn't do very well under it. North Korea doesn't do very well under it.
Right.
Nobody is better off with it. Everybody is worse off with that process. It's much better off to have Elon Musk in charge of Tesla than it is to have, Joe Biden in charge of Tesla. Why? Because Joe Biden doesn't like Tesla. So he would defund it. Yes, exactly. So, but the concept has been used before and it's worked out very poorly, right? Slavery has been tried before where we tax human capital away. It's not been successful. Communism, where we tax physical capital away, it's been tried before. It's not successful. Oh, by the way, the monarchies did the same thing. It wasn't very good under monarchies either. Capitalism produces unfairness. Agreed. But incredible wealth for everybody, not just, I got it. I look at Elon Musk and I go, what do you do when you're worth $1 trillion? I don't know. He doesn't eat that much, so he's not hurting you or me, right? So Elon Musk is just one person. He's not eating $1 trillion worth of food every day. So he's not hurting me. If his stock price goes up or down, his wealth goes up or down. But my life is mine not completely unaffected because I own some stock. But my life is unaffected. by the change in his wealth. Taxing his wealth doesn't make me better off. Not taxing his wealth doesn't make me better off. Taking his wealth and giving it to the government makes everybody worse off. Taking human capital and giving it to the government makes everyone use off. We called it, it was really neat. It was feudalism, right? Where everybody's human capital was owned by the state. It was a beautiful system, right? So under monarchies, they owned the capital and they owned the human capital, and they directed it as they saw fit, which was a beautiful thing. And it made for, bring out your dad.
And so if you have been confused in thinking that those who are very wealthy in our society should just give everything to you or to everyone because that would fix your problems, that's not accurate.
But they do give a lot, which is amazing.
Yeah.
They donate a lot. For example, Elon Musk is donating a whole satellite system to the Ukraine. Imagine what your taxes would have to be if you had to pay the government so that the Department of Defense could stand up a satellite system over the Ukraine. Or if you had to pay what the Bill Gates Foundation is doing in Africa to bring down malaria and those kinds of things. They are spending that money. They're just not spending it on you because you're not the poor. You're in the US. You're the rich. So
remember that.
Remember it.
Remember that
there are many people much poorer than you. And Elon Musk is helping them. And Bill Gates is helping them. And Warren Buffett is helping them, not you. You don't need the help. You who got a lot of human capital, you're sitting on your butt eating.
Indeed.
You're sitting on your tuchus.
No, I mean anybody. We don't know what you're doing. We're just saying if
you're saying this, that's what you're doing.
If you say that you should tax the effing billionaires, so that then maybe if you look at it another way, you'll realize that wait a minute, that was an ignorant thing to say.
It wasn't ignorant.
Now I'm enlightened, and I know that actually
they don't have that money. Nobody has that money.
We need to resurrect the.
It's a factory.
We need to resurrect the little red hen.
Just like my human capital isn't cash flow either until I sell it in the marketplace.
Yeah. I hope that makes sense. And I hope I hope it's useful for you.
I think so too, yeah. I hope it's useful for you. I mean, I hear US politicians talk about this a lot. They call themselves progressives. And they just want to progress us back to the time of kings and queens, which seems regressive to me.
Yeah, so if you're worried about being taken over by the globalists, make sure that you're paying your way.
Yeah.
And not asking for everybody else to pay your way, because otherwise you're just going right in there.
That progressivism is awfully regressive.
Isn't that right?
Yes.
If you're looking for more, Anyway, thank you for joining us. We've missed you, and I'm Sarah D.
I'm Dr. D. Namaste.
Make it a great day.